Hello, everyone. Today I am teaching a new tool in a course called the Calm the F Down Frameworks. And in this course, as you guys know, I've been teaching 8 tools. It's probably going to end up being a lot more on how to calm down, regulate your nervous system. And my goal with these tools is to help you calm down in a moment, but also by using these tools consistently to feel better all the time. So that's what will happen when you're using these tools to quote unquote calm down is you're actually regulating your nervous system, you're becoming more embodied, and all of those things are going to bring you back down to the planet and feel more grounded consistently if you practice them over time. So today we're talking about one of the tools that maybe you've heard me talk about it before, but it's called emotional balancing. Another way that you can describe this is practicing duality. Those are 2 ways that I've described it, 2 ways I've heard other people describing the same concept. But basically, the goal here is to be able to hold multiple emotions at one time. This can be really helpful when you're feeling anxiety or intense fear, or you're very worried, or you get triggered by practicing holding space for that emotion instead of trying to shut it down. So we hold space for that emotion while resourcing the emotion that we want, and we can hold those at the same time. We can regulate our nervous system, usually feel better. Both of those emotions become lessened. So they're both, it feels more manageable. And you'll feel this in a second when we go through this exercise. So the best way, in my opinion, to kind of practice duality or emotional balancing, the way that I experienced it for the first time that made a lot of sense to me is just to feel it in my body. So I'm going to lead you through a quick meditation. It probably won't take more than 15 minutes or so, maybe even less. I'll lead you through a guided meditation where I want you to experience what it feels like to hold 2 emotions at one time. And so what you're going to do in this meditation is learn how to do this in a moment. And what I want you to practice is using this tool throughout the day and using it kind of as a way of living. So if you're someone who, like me, I deal with a lot of like ongoing anxiety, which has become lessened and lessened and lessened as I practice this. And then the other thing I struggle with is what I call the anxiety cyclone, which is where I kind of get caught up in the anxiety and then I can't get out. And maybe some of you guys have experienced this feeling of spiraling. But what's happened as I've been able to practice the duality is I'm able to hold space for the anxiety while also being able to get back grounded into gratitude, into the current moment, because truly the current moment is, it sounds so cheesy or cliche, the current moment is all we have. We don't know what's happening in the future. What happened in the past certainly impacts us, but doesn't, it's in the past, right? So all we have is this current moment. So anyway, all of these things are the gifts of practicing duality. I have to clean my glasses because there's a big glare. And so I'm going to guide you through that today in a meditation. I want to check I'm streaming to a Facebook group and I'm streaming to YouTube at the same time. So I'm going to very quickly check that that is actually working. It doesn't look like Facebook wants me to actually check this. So maybe we won't be checking it. Okay, so we are live. So I'm going to share an animation that I just created in Canva of a scene for you so you're not watching me because I'm going to be reading the meditation script. So let me share that. And while I'm sharing this, just go ahead and either close your eyes or maybe even have a soft gaze. So if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can just have a soft gaze, which is just kind of staring off into the distance. And now just start taking a few deep breaths. Take a breath in, breathe out. And as you're breathing now, just focus on having your feet on the ground. What do your feet feel like on the ground? Notice how supported you are. And now just bring your awareness through your legs, up into your thighs, into your hips. Feel how steady your hips and your seat are on your chair or on the ground. Or if you're lying down, notice how supported you feel by that surface. And then travel up into your torso. And we're just noticing these parts. We're not doing anything with this information. Just notice anything that comes up in your torso and your chest. Then move up into your shoulders. Maybe as you notice your shoulders, you want to wiggle your neck, or maybe just move your shoulders around a little bit. And then bring your awareness up into your jaw. And maybe you want to move your jaw, and stretch your mouth, move your face. Take one deep breath and then let it out with a sigh. And I just want to welcome you to this meditation. In this meditation, we're going to be diving into stories that might be holding you back. So I want you to start feeling into how much duality you can hold. What we need to really understand and teach our body is that it's entirely possible to experience two sensations at the same time, simultaneously without attachment to each other. Just because you feel something bad doesn't mean you are necessarily low vibe or low vibration. We get to hold all the feelings at one time. So sometimes what happens when we're experiencing a sensation of sadness or guilt or shame, we tend to latch onto that feeling and we tend to attach ourselves to it or attach meaning to it. And what we need to really understand is how to have fluidity in this relationship and how we have our sensations. This means giving and holding space for everything to exist and flow instead of avoiding it or shoving it down. And this is what we're going to practice in today's meditation. But then we also want to use this practice and what you experience today to bring it and integrate it into your day to day life. A lot of people think of the word flow or flow state as everything's going well and there's no red lights, my children are behaving, etc. But that's just not the case. Flow state is an integrative relationship between all sensations without making meaning of it. It doesn't mean that we feel amazing all the time, but it just means that everything gets to exist and flow in and out. And when we get into this space, it becomes a constant practice of being with instead of being against. So we're meeting parts of ourselves when we acknowledge these feelings or even physical sensations. We're meeting parts of ourselves that we've been at war with. And we're introducing our systems to this profound knowing that all of these sensations get to be here and they have a place. They belong. And we create flow by rising above them, not by disassociating or disconnecting, but rising above them just to observe them. Instead of making meaning about them or identifying them with them, we're just looking at these feelings and saying, isn't that interesting? What can I learn from this? So we're not gaining our happiness from the things that we do or the things that we eat, the people that we see. All of this is adding value to what is already whole. You are already whole. And flow is when we are so present with ourselves and with our experiences that we're having. So, with all of that said, I want to make sure that you're either sitting down with your legs crossed, or maybe your legs are stretched out, or maybe you're lying on your back, whatever feels comfortable for you. And now just focus on your breath again. Take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. We love to think in black and white. We love to think in right and wrong, but you get to have both. So, this practice of emotional balancing allows us to experience the duality of the sensations without attachment. So, now that you've taken a few deep breaths, I want you to feel your body. Just start putting your attention into your body and notice where you feel tight. Where do you feel tightness? Where do you feel constriction? And just be with that tightness. You might feel it in your neck, in your stomach, or in your chest, or in your jaw, maybe your feet. And I want you to feel it fully and melt into it. Maybe in your mind, go into some detail about that feeling. Is it bubbly? Is it tightness? Is it big? Is it small? Does it have a color? A lot of times when we feel these uncomfortable feelings, we tend to tense up and disconnect or disassociate or hold your breath. So instead of holding your breath, just keep breathing and keep noticing and melt into that uncomfortable feeling you might have right now. And now I want you to take some time to access in your body where you're experiencing lightness and joy and love. Where in your body feels loose? Where in your body feels easy? Where in your body do you feel flow? I'll give you a moment to notice where this feeling is. Remembering to breathe. And if it's hard to access a feeling in your body, maybe you can start by thinking about a memory that makes you really happy and joyful. And once you have this memory in your mind, I'm curious if you feel something in your body somewhere. When I cuddle with my cat in the morning and I just feel the weight of his affection and his presence, I often feel kind of a fluttery feeling in my stomach. And when you feel this positive feeling in your body, I just want you to keep noticing it, keep melting into it. Maybe you can make this feeling even bigger and brighter and even more joyful. So I'll give you a couple more breaths to experience this feeling. Now I want you to take some time and shift your attention from this light feeling back to the pain you experienced before. Find in your body where that pain is. And now I want you to find where the lightness is. Go back to that joyful, light feeling. And now go back to the pain and the tightness. And now go back to the joy and where it feels light. And what we're doing right now is we're just playing. We're just allowing yourself to balance both of these feelings at the same time. Can you bring these two feelings together? I'm curious as you go back and forth, did you notice anything different about the pain or anything different about the joy? Just keep practicing going back into the tension, go back into the lightness. I want you to keep practicing while I explain. If you're having a hard time with this, something that might help you is to put some distance between yourself and these emotions. Because right now we're feeling them in our body, which is very first person, it's very close to us. And so if you're having a hard time accessing this duality, I want you to take the tension and the pain, and I want you to just visualize yourself moving this into your right hand like a ball, and then maybe put it about a foot in front of you. And then I want you to find this lightness and this joy and this gratitude and this bright, wonderful feeling. Maybe it's warm, maybe it's tingly. And I want you to take that wherever it is inside your body, and I want you to put it in your left hand, about a foot in front of you. And so if it was hard to access going back and forth between these feelings when it was inside your body, it might be easier to access seeing them in your hands. What does that tension feel like? And now what does that lightness and joy feel like? Just keep practicing going back and forth. When you bring these two energies together over and over again, you feel into this lightness, and you can call this lightness a resource. I love to refer to it as a resource because it's something you can come back to when you're feeling anxiety or fear or grief. You can come back to this feeling of positivity and lightness and resource yourself. And the purpose of doing these sensations one after the other is that the love and the lightness and the joy is it's the dominant frequency, it's the dominant energy. So when you come back and forth between these two, that positive energy tends to kind of dull that negative energy that you're holding, the tightness. So you can come back to this meditation anytime and just practice this, or you can even practice it without this audio and just hold space for the good feeling and the bad feeling at the same time. But I want you to start coming back to your breath, come back to the space, come back to your room, maybe breathing a little bit deeper, and feel your feet on the ground again and feel how peaceful and alive you feel right now. So, as I mentioned, the purpose of this meditation is to truly integrate this into your day to day life. You don't have to do a meditation every day to just be able to practice duality or emotional balancing. But I want you to try this a few times this week, and maybe you can make a note of it or set a timer just to practice this. When you're having an experience of anxiety or tension or pain or overwhelm or stress or guilt or whatever it is, whatever tension you may be experiencing, I want you to practice noticing the light feelings, letting both feelings exist, and seeing what happens to the heavier feeling. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next module.